The Shard of Eternity. Part 1. The Awakening of the Hero. In the shadow of the towering spires of Illyrian, a city of shimmering quartz and brass machinery, a boy named Xylem lived a humble life. Orphaned at a young age, he worked as a courier, delivering packages through the labyrinthine streets and to the high terraces where nobles dined under starlit skies. But Xylem wasn't ordinary. He had a strange birthmark on his palm, shaped like a crescent moon, and an uncanny knack for finding lost things. Though life was harsh, Xylem dreamed of adventure. He read old scrolls of the Skyborn Guardians, ancient heroes who wielded artifacts of immense power to protect the world. His favorite story was about the Shard of Eternity, a legendary fragment said to hold the secrets of time itself. Some claimed it was lost in the depths of the obsidian catacombs beneath the howling desert, guarded by ancient curses. One fateful evening, as Xylem delivered a package to the renowned inventor, Professor Aldwin Greaves, he stumbled upon something extraordinary. The professor, a grizzled man with wild silver hair and mechanical spectacles, was studying a glowing map inscribed on a sheet of enchanted glass. "Curious, are we?" Aldwin chuckled, noticing Xylem's wide eyes. "This, boy, is the key to the greatest treasure of all." Xylem's heart raced. "The Shard of Eternity," he whispered, half joking. The professor froze, staring at Xylem with an intensity that made the boy step back. "How do you know of the shard?" Xylem told him about the stories he'd read, his strange birthmark, and his inexplicable sense of direction. To his astonishment, Aldwin nodded gravely. "Then it seems fate has chosen you," he said. "But beware, the shard is no mere artifact. It has a will of its own and draws both heroes and villains to its light." Aldwin handed him a leather-bound journal filled with cryptic notes and a small, mechanical bird. "This automaton will guide you to the first clue. But tread carefully. Others seek the shard, and not all have noble intentions." The first trial. The bird led Xylem beyond the city walls, through tangled forests and treacherous swamps, to the ruins of Vel-Areth. The ancient stronghold was said to be the resting place of the Shard's sentinel, a magical being tasked with protecting its secrets. As Xylem entered the ruins, he felt a strange pull, like an invisible thread tugging at his soul. The air grew thick with enchantment, and whispers echoed through the crumbling halls. Suddenly, the ground trembled, and a massive figure emerged, a golem of stone and emerald light, its eyes glowing with otherworldly energy. "You seek the shard," the golem rumbled, its voice like grinding rock. "Prove your worth, or be consumed." Xylem swallowed hard, his courage wavering. The golem raised a massive fist, but before it could strike, the mechanical bird sprang to life, projecting a shield of light around Xylem. Remembering Aldwin's journal, Xylem deciphered an ancient incantation and called upon the power within his birthmark. A crescent-shaped beam of energy shot from his palm, striking the golem and revealing a hidden symbol on its chest. Realizing the key to victory, Xylem dodged and weaved, using the bird's shield and his newfound power to outmaneuver the golem. With a final blast of energy, he struck the symbol, and the golem crumbled into dust, leaving behind a glowing crystal shard. A new ally. As Xylem picked up the shard, a voice echoed in his mind. "You have proven yourself, young one. The path ahead will test your heart and soul, but you are not alone." From the shadows, a figure emerged, a woman cloaked in silver armor, her eyes like molten gold. She introduced herself as Lyra, a guardian sworn to protect those chosen by the shard. "You've made powerful enemies, Xylem," she said, her tone grave. "The Order of the Black Veil seeks the shard for their own dark purposes. They will stop at nothing to claim it. Silem's heart sank, but Lyra placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. Together, we will uncover the truth and ensure the shard does not fall into the wrong hands. As the sun set, casting a fiery glow over the ruins, Silem realized his life would never be the same. He wasn't just a courier anymore, he was a part of something far greater, a journey that would shape the fate of the world. Part 2, The Veil of Shadows. Into the depths. The glow of the shard in Silem's pouch grew faint, a heartbeat slowly fading into the background as he and Lyra pushed deeper into the forest of Eldralis. This ancient woodland, shrouded in perpetual twilight, was alive in a way that unsettled him. Trees whispered in voices too faint to decipher, and faintly glowing vines snaked down from canopies high above. The forest floor, soft with moss, seemed to shift beneath his feet as though alive. The shard, Silem asked, breaking the eerie quiet. Why is it growing dimmer? Lyra glanced back at him, her molten gold eyes sharp. The forest drains magic. Eldralis was once the site of a great battle between the Guardians and the necromancer Thaloris. The land still bears the scars. Magic here grows weak unless bound to its source. Stay close to me. Silem obeyed, though unease prickled at his skin. Lyra carried herself with the confidence of someone accustomed to danger, but even she seemed wary, her hand never far from the hilt of her twin blades. What's the Vault of Ethros? He asked, trying to steady his nerves. A sanctuary built by the first Guardians, Lyra explained. It holds ancient relics, records of lost knowledge, and protections against those who would misuse power. The shard you carry, it will resonate with the vault's heart, revealing the path to the next piece of the Shard of Eternity. Before Silem could press her further, a chill swept through the forest, and the light dimmed even more. Something's coming, Lyra muttered. She drew her blades, their edges shimmering with a faint golden glow. Stay behind me. Ambush in the shadows. The stillness shattered as shadows surged from the underbrush. Figures cloaked in dark, flowing robes emerged, their faces hidden behind featureless masks. The Order of the Black Veil had found them. Lyra moved with blinding speed, her blades flashing in arcs of light as she deflected dark spells hurled by the cultists. Silem, frozen for a moment, felt a surge of warmth in his palm. The crescent mark glowed fiercely, and without thinking, he raised his hand. A shield of pale light erupted before him, deflecting a bolt of crackling darkness aimed at his chest. Focus, Silem. Lyra called, her voice calm but commanding. You have power, use it. Silem nodded, his fear giving way to determination. He unleashed another beam of light from his palm, catching one of the cultists off guard. The figure crumpled, their robe dissolving into wisps of shadow. But the cultists kept coming. One of them stepped forward, larger than the rest, wielding a staff crowned with a shard of onyx. Dark tendrils lashed out from the staff, tangling around Lyra's blades and yanking them from her grip. She stumbled, and the cultist raised the staff to deliver a finishing blow. No! Silem shouted, instinct taking over. The glow of his mark intensified, and a wave of energy surged from him, sending the cultists flying. The leader staggered but remained standing, their mask now cracked to reveal an eye glinting with malevolence. You cannot hide from the veil, the figure hissed, their voice layered with an unnatural echo. The Shard of Eternity belongs to us. Before Silem could react, the cultists slammed their staff into the ground. Shadows erupted around them, forming a swirling portal that pulled the remaining cultists inside. In moments, they were gone, leaving only an ominous stillness behind. Secrets of the Vault. Lyra retrieved her blades, breathing heavily but uninjured. "You handled yourself well," she said, her tone begrudgingly approving. "I didn't know I could do that," Xylem admitted, staring at his still glowing hand. "Your mark ties you to the shard," Lyra explained. "It amplifies your will, your intentions. But it also makes you a beacon, for the Veil, and for worse things." They pressed on, wary of further attacks. After hours of navigating the forest's twisting paths, they arrived at a clearing where an ancient stone temple stood, half consumed by roots and vines. Its facade was inscribed with symbols that seemed to shift when Xylem tried to focus on them. "The Vault of Ethros," Lyra said, her voice reverent. Inside, the air was cool and heavy with the scent of earth and old magic. The chamber at the heart of the vault was circular, with a pedestal at its center. Hovering above the pedestal was a crystalline orb, its surface swirling with light and shadow. Lyra approached cautiously. "This is the heart of Ethros. Place the shard here, and it will reveal the path to the next fragment." Xylem hesitated, then drew the shard from his pouch. As he placed it on the pedestal, the room shuddered, and beams of light shot out from the orb, forming a holographic map in the air. The map showed a mountain range cloaked in storm clouds. "The Tempest Peaks," Lyra murmured. "The next shard lies there." But before they could study the map further, the orb's light darkened, and a voice boomed through the chamber. "Fools," it said, low and menacing. "You think to uncover the shard's secrets? You will only hasten the world's end." The shadows in the room coalesced, forming a towering figure clad in flowing black robes. Its face was a void, but its presence exuded a chilling power. "Thaloris," Lyra whispered, her hands tightening on her blades. The figure raised a hand, and tendrils of shadow lashed out, tearing through the chamber. Xylem and Lyra barely dodged as the room began to collapse. "Run!" Lyra shouted, grabbing Xylem's arm and dragging him toward the exit. The escape. They sprinted through the crumbling temple, dodging falling debris and avoiding the shadowy tendrils that seemed to reach for them at every turn. The forest outside offered no solace, as the magic draining effect intensified, sapping Xylem's strength. "Keep moving," Lyra urged, her own glow dimming but her resolve unshaken. As they reached the edge of the forest, a roar echoed behind them. Thaloris's shadow loomed, but it did not follow. Instead, it lingered at the temple's threshold, its void-like face watching them. "This is only the beginning," Thaloris's voice echoed. "The Shard of Eternity will not save you. It will consume you." The shadow receded, leaving an oppressive silence in its wake. The road ahead. Xylem and Lyra stopped to catch their breath on a rocky outcrop overlooking the forest. The shard in Xylem's pouch pulsed faintly once more, as if mocking their narrow escape. "We have to reach the Tempest Peaks," Lyra said, her voice firm but weary. "Thaloris is growing stronger, and the Veil will come for us again. But we can't stop now." Xylem nodded, though fear gnawed at him. He had dreamed of adventure, but this was more than he had ever bargained for. Still, he couldn't shake the feeling that the shard had chosen him for a reason. As they set off toward the distant peaks, the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the land in shadow. Unseen eyes watched from the darkness, and the winds carried whispers of what was to come. The journey was far from over. Part 3, The Tempest of Eternity. The Ascent to the Peaks. The Tempest Peaks loomed in the distance, their jagged silhouettes wreathed in perpetual storm clouds. Lightning crackled across the sky, and thunder echoed like the growl of an ancient beast. Xylem and Lyra trudged up the winding path leading to the peaks, their journey marked by treacherous terrain and an ominous sense of foreboding. The shard in Silem's pouch pulsed faintly, guiding their steps. Despite the oppressive atmosphere, he felt a strange connection to the peaks, as if they were calling to him. Lyra, ever vigilant, kept her blades at the ready, her eyes scanning the surroundings for signs of danger. "We're close," Lyra said as they reached a plateau. "The next shard lies at the heart of the Tempest Altar. But the storms here are not natural, they are the work of the shard's guardian." Silem swallowed hard. "Another trial?" Lyra nodded. "And likely the most dangerous one yet. The guardians grow stronger as we get closer to the Shard of Eternity's core." As they pressed on, the storm intensified. Sheets of rain lashed at them, and the wind howled like a living thing. Silem's cloak clung to him, soaked through, but he tightened his grip on the shard, drawing strength from its faint glow. The Tempest Altar. At the heart of the peaks, they found the Tempest Altar, a massive circular platform carved into the mountainside, its surface etched with ancient runes that pulsed with blue light. Lightning arced between stone pillars surrounding the altar, creating a cage of energy that seemed to hum with anticipation. In the center of the altar stood the shard's guardian, a towering figure of storm and fury. Its body was made of swirling wind and rain, with eyes like glowing orbs of lightning. It carried a spear crackling with energy, and its voice boomed like thunder. "Who dares disturb the Tempest Altar?" the guardian demanded, its gaze fixed on Silem. "We seek the shard," Lyra said, stepping forward. "We come to restore balance to the world." The guardian laughed, a sound like a storm breaking over the sea. "Balance. The Shard of Eternity is a force beyond balance. It bends time, warps destiny. Prove your worth, or be swept away by the storm." The guardian raised its spear, and a bolt of lightning shot toward them. Lyra leapt aside, rolling to her feet with practiced agility, while Silem instinctively raised his hand. A shield of light flickered into existence just in time to absorb the impact, though the force sent him stumbling backward. "Silem, focus!" Lyra shouted as she darted forward, her blade slicing through the storm's tendrils. Silem steadied himself, the crescent mark on his palm glowing brighter. He called upon the shard's power, sending a beam of energy toward the guardian. The beam struck its chest, causing it to stagger, but the storm only intensified. The guardian retaliated, unleashing a vortex of wind that sent Lyra flying into a pillar. She groaned but managed to stand, her armor dented. "We have to weaken it together," she called. Silem nodded, channeling his energy into another attack. Lyra charged forward, her blades glowing with golden light as she struck the guardian's legs. The combination of their attacks caused the storm to falter, and the guardian roared in anger. "You are stronger than I expected," it rumbled. "But the storm is eternal." The guardian thrust its spear into the ground, and the entire altar shook. Lightning arced wildly, and a massive tornado began to form in the center of the platform. The shard's true power. As the tornado grew, Silem felt the shard in his pouch vibrate violently. Its light burst forth, and he realized it was resonating with the storm itself. A voice echoed in his mind, ancient and calm. "Unite the shards, and the storm shall obey you." Silem reached into his pouch and pulled out the shard. Its glow intensified, and the crescent mark on his palm burned with power. Without thinking, he stepped forward, directly into the path of the tornado. "Silem, no!" Lyra shouted, but it was too late. The storm engulfed him, and for a moment, everything went still. In the eye of the storm, Silem found himself face to face with the shard's essence, a swirling mass of light and shadow. "Do you seek power, or do you seek purpose?" the essence asked. I seek to protect the world, Xylem replied, his voice steady. To stop those who would misuse the shard's power. The essence pulsed, as if considering his words. Then you shall have my blessing. The shard in his hand merged with the crescent mark on his palm, and a surge of energy coursed through him. He felt connected to the storm, to the world, to something greater than himself. The final battle. The tornado dissipated, and Xylem emerged, glowing with the shard's energy. The Guardian turned to face him, its form flickering with uncertainty. You have bonded with the shard, it said. But can you control its power? Xylem raised his hand, and the storm responded. Lightning arced around him, and the winds swirled at his command. He directed a blast of energy at the Guardian, shattering its spear and causing it to collapse to one knee. Lyra joined him, her blades striking in tandem with his attacks. Together, they overwhelmed the Guardian, whose form dissolved into mist. The storm cleared, and the altar grew quiet. In the center of the platform, another shard appeared, its light merging with the one Xylem already carried. The choice. As Xylem picked up the second shard, the ground trembled, and a portal of shadow opened. From it emerged Thaloris, his presence filling the air with dread. You have done well, boy, Thaloris said, his voice dripping with malice. The shards are powerful, but incomplete. Give them to me, and I shall spare your lives. Xylem stepped forward, his hand glowing with the shard's light. You'll never have them. Thaloris laughed. So be it. The final battle began. Thaloris summoned waves of shadow, but Xylem countered with blasts of light, their powers clashing in bursts of energy. Lyra fought valiantly, her blades deflecting Thaloris's attacks, but the dark sorcerer's power was immense. In a desperate move, Xylem channeled the shard's full power, creating a blinding wave of light that enveloped Thaloris. The sorcerer screamed as his form began to dissolve, but he managed one final attack, sending a tendril of shadow toward Xylem. Lyra leapt in front of him, taking the blow. She collapsed, her armor scorched. No! Xylem cried, rushing to her side. With his last strength, he unleashed a final blast of light, destroying Thaloris and sealing the portal. A new dawn. The battle was over, but the cost was high. Lyra's wounds were grave, but she smiled faintly as Xylem held her. You did it, she whispered. The world is safe. The shards in Xylem's hand glowed, their light merging and spreading across the peaks. The storms cleared, and sunlight bathed the land for the first time in centuries. Xylem looked to the horizon, the weight of his journey settling on him. He had sought adventure, and he had found it, but it had changed him. As he carried Lyra back down the mountain, he vowed to protect the shards and the balance they represented, no matter the cost. The end.